Awesome. Oh my gosh, I am so excited as always because this is Girls Guide to Greatness and I have a special guest for you guys today. This is Danny Trainer from Raleigh, North Carolina, and he is a strength and conditioning coach, an expert in his field. He's been training for over 21 years. And Danny and I, we know each other from way back. I would say, what was that, Danny? Like the beginning of the year, probably towards the end of last year. I actually hired Danny to help me out, to get me back on track. And we started doing kettlebell training and some really cool stuff, and he knows his stuff. So I am super pumped to have him on the show. And you know what, Danny, welcome to Girls Guide to Greatness.
Well, I'm delighted to be here, Rebecca, and especially delighted that you would have me on the show after I tortured you in those sessions.
Oh my gosh, it was crazy, right? Because I had never done real training before like that, the kettlebell stuff.
Yeah, and if memory serves me, you lifted real well.
Yay! I'm always looking to get a good grade on my report card, so I'm glad I did it.
Yeah, you did all right.
Yeah, you taught me a lot, seriously. And it wasn't just about the weight training either. I mean, you were teaching me more about like nutrition, about mindset, about, shifting into better habits. I remember when oh gosh, I'm going to let people know my dark side here, but wasn't I hooked on like Lucky Charms or something crazy like that?
Well, you, like a lot of people, have a addiction to carbohydrates at times, right? And I struggle with that myself. And there's people that try to moderate that and try to kind of dance with the devil and have it once in a while or try to tame it. My advice to anybody that suffers with this is just to completely put it on the shelf and never take it down again. It's easier to just completely eradicate it from your life, I've found, than it is to try to make it a once in a while treat, because the once in a while treat never stays a once in a while treat.
Danny, you couldn't have said it any better. I totally agree. That's what I ended up having to do, was just completely not even purchase it. Don't even have it in the house.
Yeah. Just give it up. Somebody's boozing too much or somebody's taking pills they shouldn't take. You don't tell them to just drink once in a while. You tell them that it's just got to be cut off. And I think that the sugar addiction, although not life and death in the short term, it'll kill you eventually. And it's just, if your listeners are struggling with that, my first piece of advice today might be to just consider living a sugar-free life. Just ditch it completely. It's way easier than trying to dance with it.
That's good. That's powerful. I remember when I started training with you, you would show up at our training sessions and you would have your plain black coffee. Is that right?
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, I prefer cheap black coffee. I like fast food coffee. I'm not real big on fancy coffees. But yeah, if you're gonna treat yourself to something like that, yeah, black coffee is pretty good idea.
Interesting.
Pretty good pre-workout, makes life look a little better. It's
nice.
It's good. There's some pretty good evidence that it's good for your liver.
Oh,
so after you beat the hell out of your liver with booze and late nights and carbohydrates and Lucky Charms, you get yourself a cup of black coffee.
Wow. Well, I have to tell you, I'm not a coffee drinker, never have been. However, when I started doing, paying attention to the ketosis, the keto part of my nutrition plan, I was like, okay, let me try this, what they called Bulletproof coffee. And I know that's been big now, but when I started taking it, people were still trying to get a hold of that. And so I started doing the Bulletproof. I was like, okay, this is actually kind of good. Like it wasn't bad. It wasn't the worst. And so I found that it actually helps me, curb my cravings and, all that good stuff. And just help me in the beginning of the day. So I wouldn't have to have this heavy meal first thing. And then I could, continue to fast until my eating period started, right? That first eating time. So I know that that's something that I've incorporated into my regular routine. Now, when I'm doing it if I'm doing it all the time, I wouldn't say I do coffee all the time, but every once in a while when I think I need it, I will just grab one. And if they make it so convenient now, you can get the ones that are already mixed, the cold brew or whatever.
Yeah. I'm all for it, especially, if you're doing some intermittent fasting. There's some purists out there that'll tell you that you can't have coffee or bulletproof coffee when you're fasting, but that's nonsense. Like most advice in fitness, that's mostly nonsense.
Right.
Black coffee is not going to detract much from a fast. You want to know what breaks a fast, Rebecca?
What's that?
Lucky Charms.
I was about to say a cheeseburger.
Yeah. Nobody in America ever got fat by drinking black coffee, ever.
Right.
Not having one time.
Oh
So
my gosh.
we don't worry about that. And if that helps somebody, and listen, fasting is not the prescription for everybody, but for some people, it's been a godsend. It keeps their blood sugar stable, and they're not a slave to food anymore. They're not worried about their next meal,
Yeah.
their next meal. And I think the psychological part of the fasting is helpful for people. And, you know, it gives your body a break from having to deal with a bunch of stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're just kind of running on your own fuel, so to speak.
Yeah.
And so for the right person under the right situation, somebody that wants to trim and tone, I don't recommend fasting for somebody that's trying to get very strong and get a lot of muscle mass on, but that's not usually who hires me.
Right.
Usually who hires me are 30, 40, and 50-year-old ladies that don't ever want to grow into being old ladies.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking
So
about.
yeah, fasting's a good, I think a good approach for some people. So you've had some success with that?
Absolutely. And actually, I started my own challenge at the beginning of 2020? Ugh, I don't even know what year it is. At the beginning of this year, I started my own challenge, what I call the One Warrior. And so for 90 days, I didn't have any sugar, no bread, no gluten. I basically took all that crap out, and I fasted. I would do like intermittent fasting, and it was amazing. Like the clarity that I got, feeling light, having more energy. And, you know, and I wasn't in ketosis all the time. People think that, you know, being in ketosis, oh gosh, that's the goal. But what I've learned is that it's good to be in ketosis, but not for a long period of time. And so what I would do is I would switch it up. So ketosis one week, then I would do like a more plant-based diet or nutrition plan the next week. Just kind of rotate it, did it like an alternate plan. And it really worked for me. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. So I dropped close to 40 pounds in 3 months. It was insane.
Yeah. So
But you're
Rebecca,
right. No cereal.
let me make sure I've got this right. And I might even write this down. You dropped your sugar and you dropped your carbohydrate intake and you didn't die?
I didn't die. Yes.
Wow.
Actually, I felt better. Oh my gosh. And by the way, before I incorporated this One Warrior Challenge, I was having some major issues with like my back and my neck. And I thought something was wrong. I was like, what the hell's going on? It turned out I was inflamed. I had no idea what inflammation was. As soon as I did like a 24-hour fast to reduce the inflammation right away. I started going right into ketosis, and that inflammation was gone, like almost like immediately. It was insane. So I always tell people, you know, if you're dealing with some inflammation, get rid of the crap, do a quick fast, reset your body, reboot. What do you think about that, Danny? I don't know. Am I telling them right?
Yeah, that's what we see. And again, you know, not everybody needs a keto diet. Not everybody needs to fast, but the people that do, it works real well. And some of the most popular feedback I get from people is that their joints feel better.
Yes.
That they don't hurt so damn much in bed in the morning,
It's amazing.
dreading to take that first step to the bathroom. Yeah, in the ketogenic diet or the lower carb diet, whatever you want to call it, has a diuretic effect, right? You know, you pee a lot and your body rids itself of a bunch of water.
Mm-hmm.
And
Toxins.
it definitely has a tendency to reduce inflammation. You know, for most of us that are sensitive to carbohydrates, which is probably a lot of your audience, if you eat a bunch of carbohydrates, starchy carbs, and sugary carbs, you'll notice that you don't instantly get fatter, but you get puffier, you get more swollen.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because those carbs bring a lot of, electrolytes and water with them. So you get puffy. So if you go the opposite and you reduce your carbohydrate intake, again, the reduced carb keto is not for everybody. It's not something I would recommend for an active athlete, somebody that's playing sports, a younger person that's of average weight, might even need to gain weight. But if you're talking about a middle-aged person that wants to trim and tone, and they've tried everything, they've done a bunch of diets, they've weighed, and they've, you know, measured food, and they're just over it.
Yeah.
Try cutting your carbs, and try getting some fasting windows in 3 or 4 times a week, every other day. Your inflammation should reduce.
Mm-hmm.
Your hunger will dissipate if you hang with it, and you'll find that you might feel a little lighter. You might feel like you've got a little kind of extra buzz of energy.
Yeah, it's
And
amazing.
yeah,
You know, the other thing I noticed too is that during those 90 days that I took just to focus, you know, on my body, on my energy and all this good stuff, I also got rid of a lot of dairy too, which I'm not big into dairy anyway, but I just kind of made sure that I was incorporating a lot of that stuff. So occasionally I would have some cheese here and there, but it wasn't a big deal. I know some people out there love dairy, but me, it was
yeah,
easy for me to say, I could do without it. But that
sure.
was another thing I did without. And another thing I really focused on was my sleep patterns too, is like just making sure I got enough sleep. I did a sleep test and it was like, they said I slept like a 31-year-old, which is amazing because I always think I'm 28. I'm kind of stuck in my 20s, but my birth certificate says I just had a birthday and I'm supposed to be 43, but that's not what my body says. So I kind of pay attention to what I'm doing like here in the moment. How do I feel? How am I waking up in the morning? What is my body telling me? Like, I just try to pay attention to those triggers and like, you know, doing something like you were saying, like just taking the time to do an occasional, you know, intermittent fasting or occasional ketosis or something like that, it can make a big difference in the long run. Overall, like how
Well,
you feel and how you show up.
plus the food tastes better.
Yeah.
You take a guy that's used to eating 4 or 5 times a day and you starve his ass for 18 hours, wait and give him that one meal,
Right.
you're gonna see a guy that's happy.
Oh yeah. That is so true.
Yeah.
Everything does taste better. You know, one of my favorite meals, Danny, when I was doing my challenge, my One Warrior, it was very simple. It was just when I got to break my fast, I usually broke it around 12 or 1, sometimes later if I was working a lot. But I would have like just a small slice of steak. It was just a slab of steak. And I would put it on top of a bowl of baked yams, sweet potatoes. And
Yeah.
I would also have some Brussels sprouts, some baked Brussels sprouts in there as well. And then I would have it topped with a fried egg on top. And it was like so freaking good. And sometimes I would change the Brussels sprouts up with like maybe broccoli or something. But it was just this cute little, what I called a protein bowl, you know, and it was everything in there. And I had a little bit of that starch in there, which was the sweet potato, just kind of helped me, you know. And so it was so good. But I remember tasting, I can remember the taste now. Like it was just so good after, you know, fasting for that amount of time. And you just like really enjoy that moment.
Yeah. Yeah. And Rebecca, I'm glad you told me about your little protein creation there too, because that in essence is when people hire me for nutritional advice, that's normally where I gear them is to eat meals with the composition that you just mentioned. So let's look at what you got there. You've got some steak,
Mhm.
which is a great protein. You've got some yams, which is about the best starchy carb you're going to get, right? If you're going to do a starchy carb, by all means, do yams or sweet potatoes.
Awesome.
You've got the egg. You know, people forget that egg has got pretty much the most perfect protein in there. You know, whey gets all the hype and gets all the glory, but egg protein is just a fantastic protein. And you've got some saturated fat in there, which you don't need to be afraid of. So, and you've got a couple of fibrous carbs in there. So that's about the perfect meal right there.
Yeah, that's
That's if
awesome.
I could guide some, you know, normally when people say, well, Danny, what should I eat? I say, look, eat a steak and a salad,
That's good.
you
Simple.
know? Yep. And, you know, people still want to argue about this. But the bottom line is you don't need as much carbohydrate as you think. The actual biological need for carbohydrate is basically zero. You don't need it.
Mm,
But you do need proteins, right? You need essential amino acids and you need essential fats. Without those, you croak.
right.
You know, you
Yes.
won't croak overnight, but you'll croak in a few weeks. If you take your carbohydrate down, you'll just notice, like you had mentioned, you'll be less inflamed. Um, you'll start losing a bunch of weight. Will fall off most people if they really do it, and they don't fiddle with it. People want to always fiddle with this too. They want to get almond flour and they find these books with all these recipes. I tell them, look, do that later. For your first 3 or 4 months, just eat eggs, steak, and salad and just deal with it for now. Right? Fiddle with it later.
That's good.
Yeah. And there's a big low carb market where there's too many choices for people that get them in trouble because some of those low
Mm,
carb products, they're not really the same as having an egg. You know, a low carb protein bar that you buy for $3.50 at the convenience store does not act the same as a steak and salad in your body. And people are just fooling themselves if they think that it does. So go, like your little creation, we'll call it the Rebecca Trio.
Oh, I
The
love it.
steak, the egg, and the veggie, right?
Yes.
That's about as good as it gets right there. And if you're putting yams in there, it's not a keto. It's lower carb.
Right.
But that's a real good way. That's a good example of if anybody's out there listening, wondering, hey, which direction should I go in if I just want to tighten up, trim and tone, maybe make my joints feel a little better. That's what I'd recommend. Just what you
That's
said.
awesome, Danny. Yeah. And I love what you said about, there's so many options out there that people, I think that they get overwhelmed, right? They get stressed out and overwhelmed just in the choice that they have to make. And then that can actually throw a huge wrench into even having the motivation to continue, to wanting to, incorporate these good and healthy meals. I know that has been my, I've experienced that sometimes too, where I'm like, okay, I literally was in the store, this was back in Raleigh, and I was just looking for a good high quality rice because I was like, I just want a little bit of carbs, just to, and I was like looking at the aisle, there's so many different types of rice, and I'm looking at the packages, I'm looking at the calorie content and all this stuff, and just for one item. So I can just only imagine what people experience with, when they're actually telling their trainers are saying, okay, eat this, this, and this. And then they're like, okay, well, I'm overwhelmed. I don't know what to eat or when to eat or blah, blah, blah. So I think working with you, Danny, would be very helpful for people out there, because then they get, it's customized to what their needs are. They can understand exactly what they need to be eating. You can clarify and support them and really guide them in a good direction so they can see optimal results. They're not just out there flapping around trying to figure things out on their own.
Yeah. Well, Rebecca, I think variety is I think we've been taught through childhood that variety is the spice of life, and variety is good in diet, and variety is good in exercise selection. And that's just not the case in my experience at all.
Mm-hmm.
The most successful people I see that take care of themselves the most and get the strongest and have the most dramatic changes in body composition, more favorable body composition, less fat, more muscle. They always keep it simple with very, very little variety. From working with me, the nutrition advice I give and the workouts I give, they're boring. It's dull. There's not much variety in the workouts that I do with my people, especially if they're going to do barbell, right? They're going to do barbell. There's 4 or 5 lifts that we do. Sometimes only 4. Older people, there's a certain lift we won't do. We just do 3 or 4 lifts. And for a lot of people, they can't wrap their mental arms around the fact that we're not doing 19 different exercises every time we train.
Right.
But this has all been thought about and planned. And there's a reason we don't do all that variety. We don't need it. We can do it later if we want to, but in the beginning, you're just trying to build a strength base.
Yeah.
You just want the same boring exercises that give you the most bang for your buck. And that's usually going to be the squat, the press, the bench press, and the deadlift. And same with nutrition. In my opinion, from coaching several hundred people over the years, variety in the nutrition plan is just going to create a problem. So when I get somebody that gets really excited about losing weight on a lower carb approach or a fasting approach, normally in the next week or 10 days, they'll find a cookbook or they'll find some diet guru online that's selling these recipes or something. And I always try to give them the talk and let them know that there's a place for variety down the road, but for your first couple of months, keep it simple. Variety throws people off because variety becomes like this gateway drug. Here's what happens. They're doing steak, salad, and eggs, and they're losing a bunch of weight. And I don't know if people just aren't satisfied with success or what happens, but then they drift into, well, I heard there's this low carb dessert I can have. So now you're not doing steak, salad, and eggs. Now you're doing steak, salad, eggs, and you're doing almond flour and stevia, and you're right. So you're watering down what worked.
That's good.
And we don't want to do that. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to eat mayonnaise and ground beef for the rest of your life. And I understand that. But if people are in a hurry to get the result they want, water it down as little as possible. Don't water down your nutrition. Don't water down your strength training. Stick to the basics that work, and just try to avoid that allure of complicating it and making it not be so simple. I think the effectiveness lives in the fact that it's simple.
Right.
I mean, if I could just parse all this down, Rebecca, if I could just have everybody eat a steak salad and lift heavy stuff 3 days a week.
Dude,
it really is that simple.
I love that. Actually, to me, and hopefully to my listeners and the people who are viewing this video later, that I'm hoping this is actually kind of like the lights going off and it's like, oh my gosh, you're telling me that it's simple. I don't have to beat myself up in the gym. I don't have to go crazy over these crazy recipes and go out and buy hundreds of dollars worth of groceries. Are you saying this is simple?
Yeah.
Like, I'm hoping that they grasp that, because that's to me, that's like, oh wow, that gives me hope. Like, really? You're telling me at the age of 40 something, I could still show up and still just do a couple of days here and there and just, these simple things, and I can still see the results I want. I think that's amazing.
Better results than if you complicate it. We don't need complicated programs yet, because most of the people that are training are just starting out, right? They don't need complicated programs, can come later. Really complexity is just unnecessary. It's detrimental.
Right.
And I say steak as kind of an example. It's a metaphor for, right? I'm not in love with steak. Pick whatever protein you like.
Yes.
Right. Find a protein. For some people it's fish. For some people it's eggs. Whatever works. Yeah. It's fine.
Do you know, Danny, I have to tell you something real quick, because I'm not much of a meat eater either, to be honest with you. And when I was doing the ketosis and doing my training, I had to get over that. And so actually this guy, Dave Asprey, the Bulletproof guy, he actually helped me with the training of my mind to get over all these rules I made for myself. Because I grew up thinking, or, when I was doing my training as a personal trainer back in the old days, my rules were, I've got to eat lean. I've got to do this. I've got to do that. And I had all these preconceptions of what the food is going to do to my body, dairy, gluten, all these things. And so, I was like, okay, I need to get over this, because if he's saying, if you eat high quality grass-fed, beef or meat or whatever, that it's going to get this result for you and your body's going to feel better or whatever, I need to get my mind off of the fact that, okay, meat is bad. Because, after watching so many documentaries on what this terrible food system we have in America, I kind of got it in my head thinking, oh God, everything's bad for me. I got to stay away from it. Right. So I had to start creating these new rules and actually look at food differently. And I said, you know what? I'm going to just ditch, not everything, but ditch all these crazy rules that I have for myself. And I'm just going to do what he tells me to do. And I'm so glad I did, even though I still have those, moments where I'm like, ew, dairy, or ew, meat. It's not nearly as bad as it was. And so, because I know that I'm trying to make, intentional choices, better choices. So it's not just anything I'm putting in my body. It's a little bit higher quality, and it's, it's intentional. I'm doing it on purpose.
Yeah. Well, I think he gave you good advice.
Yeah, I'm glad I did. I'm glad I took it, because I didn't want to get stuck. I think a lot of people are like that, just like me, that they're so used to that, that routine or those meals or those foods that they're used to. And then they have these, ideas about other things, and then they kind of limit themselves. So I'm so glad that I was able to open myself up to experiment, to really say, you know what, I'm just going to go all in. It's going to be good for my body. I'm going to have a good result. And sure enough, it worked.
Yeah. Yeah. And it works every time that it's done right.
Yeah. And and Danny, I know I love what you say, keep it simple. I'm a huge advocate of that. I try to keep that in my business and my relationships, everything that I can do. I like to keep it simple. I don't like to freak out and stress out all the time, And so I love what you said about that. And what came to mind is how you were saying, just, it's pretty boring, the same routine, the same foods, whatever, but you're going to get maximized results. I thought of Olympic athletes, because athletes, they do the same move day in, day out, getting it perfected, and so that could look boring to someone else, but to them, they're trying to elevate themselves to a higher level, right? And so eating the same meals at the same time, a day in, a day out, to get to those ultimate results, it may seem boring to us, but to them, this is part of their training. This is part of they know they're going to get optimized results if they continue on this path. So I think if we start looking at ourselves differently, treating ourselves like athletes, treating ourselves like, these amazing billion-dollar machines, you want to take care of it. You want to fuel it right. And if it gets boring, it gets boring, but it's going to do you well and do you good in the end. For instance, I always like to compare our bodies to cars. People take such great care of their cars, and it can be boring just to go to get oil change or to fill it up with fuel or to get the car washed. Those could seem pretty boring, but you have to do those things. Like, if you don't change the oil, you're going to have some issues. And so the same thing with us. It may get to that boring, simple level, but we have to do those maintenance things every day to really keep a well-oiled machine. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. You got to, I think people that struggle with this need to stop using food as entertainment. And I think there's a lot of personal trainers out there that need to stop throwing a bunch of variety at their clients for exercises because of fear that their client's going to get bored. And if you want to be, that entertainment, that's what Netflix is for.
That's good.
Right? Your food. And again, Rebecca, remember, I'm not speaking in generalities to every human being that can hear this. I'm talking about somebody that wants to make a physical change.
Yes.
There's something they don't like. And you've got a decision to make. You can go all in and change it, or you can take the old advice from 20 or 30 years ago, which was, eat 6 times a day and keep your metabolism up and do lots of cardio. Well, we already all tried that. Right? And that didn't work real well. So if somebody wants to really make a substantial change, and I've got some clients that have just, it even sometimes surprises me what they do. They have understood that they can't use food as a buddy of theirs anymore, that they can't have it be entertainment, that they've got to stop referring to themselves as foodies and other super annoying labels. They've got to put it in its place, because that lifestyle has done them no favors getting to this point.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So yeah, it's Thanksgiving. Who wants to talk ill about food around Thanksgiving? Okay, right? Enjoy Thanksgiving. Wear a mask, don't wear a mask, whatever you want to do, but just enjoy it, right? But that's once or twice a year. And for the rest of the time, food has just got to almost serve it just serves a purpose, right?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, the workouts can be boring, the process can be repetitive, but the outcome is a big enough payoff for most people, where they live with the fact that we're just doing boring deadlifts and squats and presses, and we're not jumping around with 1 foot on BOSU balls. They just understand that, right? They understand that the big exercises, the squats, the deadlifts, the presses, that actually changes the architecture of your body. Whereas jumping around with battle ropes and BOSU balls doesn't. That just gets you out of breath and you drive home tired. But it didn't do much.
Right.
So we just kind of live with the fact that I'm on a boring program, but the outcome can be exciting.
I love that.
And the
Danny.
outcome for most people is exciting.
Yeah.
What people really love, it's funny how much people that are, I'll give you a quick story. A lady hired me a couple of weeks ago, and I told her, I said, look, if you hire me, I'm going to get you strong. We're not doing laps in the parking lot. Okay. And this is somebody that never in her wildest dreams ever thought she'd be working with a barbell, right? Just, it never occurred to her. She's never thought about it. And, now that her deadlift is going up, 10 pounds every time we train, she's giddy. She's visibly excited to watch something in her life improve where everything else has gone to hell.
Yeah, that's good.
Right? And the fun thing about strength is that strength is a little bit of a pain in the ass to acquire, but once you get strong, you'll always be stronger for the rest of your life had you not gotten strong.
Mm.
And you can watch your numbers go up. So yeah, you're getting a year older. No one wants to get older.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, your skin's not as good as it was when you were 23, right? Nothing's as good as when you were 23.
Right.
But one thing you can always say is, hey, next month I can get stronger. The next year I can be stronger. And you can do that all the way until you hit 82 years old. Then 82, it falls off a cliff.
That's good.
But you can always get stronger. And I think that's what doesn't occur to people when they maybe think about hiring a trainer, or forget hiring a trainer, just taking care of your own fitness if you want to. My advice, and nobody's asked for it, but my advice would be focus on actually getting strong. That means picking up ugly weights that are heavy, that don't want to be picked up.
That's good. Can you give us a brief description on that too, going into the heavy weights? Because I know women typically have, again, those preconceptions of like, oh God, if I do weight training or lift heavy, I'm going to bulk up. Can you kind of like, kind of hush that old myth?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've trained several hundred, probably thousands of women at this point. First of all, it's never happened. I've never, ever had somebody hire me and we're deadlifting and they get out of bed one day and they've got shoulders like this and a mustache. That just doesn't happen. So normally what will happen is they'll get very excited about watching their strength increase. And the fun part about being a beginner or being a novice, right? Mm-hmm. When you're strength training, novice or beginner, that doesn't mean you're not good at it. It just means you're unexposed to it. You're unadapted to it, right? So the really fun part, and it's fun for me as a coach too, is to watch how quickly people get strong in the beginning. It happens really fast. Like every time they train, they're stronger. What I see with women, and I train 95% of my clients are women. That's just we found each other. That's who it is. I train men, but I prefer to train women because women at least know what they want. Yeah,
that's good.
They'll normally tell me that they feel kind of tighter, and there's different words that get thrown around, firmer, a little more toned, all those kind of fitnessy words, but that's what they normally will realize as their muscle mass increases. So basically what we normally will see is just a general improvement in body composition, right? There's only two things you can change. How much fat do you have? How much muscle do you have? If one goes up, the other can come down. Sometimes they go up at the same time. Sometimes they come down at the same time. What we try to do is just focus on strength. And without exception, the body composition will improve. The posture improves. How their clothes fit improves. How they walk improves. Their mobility improves. Their libido improves. Their nutrition will normally improve almost just as a side effect of the strength training. Because when you strength train heavy, and we'll talk about what heavy means in a minute if you want to, because I think that word gets scary for people and it doesn't need to be. But you'll notice when you're engaged in a strength training program, you will yearn for protein-rich foods to recover. It's almost like your body sends you this reminder that you've got to recover from this stuff, especially if you're not 30 anymore.
Right. Yeah. Right? I've experienced that.
Yep. You'll just feel unplugged. You'll feel drained. You'll feel low energy. If you're not taking in enough protein and enough nutrients in general, you need enough calories to enhance what you're doing with the lifting.
Yes.
Maybe we take a second and talk about what we mean by heavy. Okay.
Yes.
Heavy just means enough weight that you can safely lift that's actually going to help you get stronger. So heavy does not mean walking up to the barbell and grunting and smelling salts and all the stuff people associate with powerlifting. I mean, I like powerlifting and it's a little part of my history, but I understand that 55-year-old Mrs. Jones is not interested in that. But truth be told, Rebecca, she should lift damn near in the same style that powerlifters lift, which means heavy. In other words, the weight should mean something to the system. lifting light weights over and over 30, 40 reps does nothing but just put miles on you. It doesn't get you any stronger. It just tires you out. It's a bad way to train, in my opinion.
Okay.
A better way to train is to do heavier, low rep training.
Yeah.
Sets of 5 reps work great for women. Sets of 3 reps work even better for a little more advanced women.
Mm-hmm.
Women actually, and this is a physiological reality of women's muscle mass. Women are a little less efficient at using their muscle to push and pull on things, which is what strength is, right?
Okay.
How hard can you push or pull on something? That's no dig to women. It's just the biology 101. It's just DNA.
Okay.
So if you have a female trainer trainee that is wanting to get strong, it's almost more important for that female trainee to use appropriately heavier weights than even it is for a male, because if it's not heavy enough for her, she won't get a strength adaptation. It's really got to be heavy for women. Maybe I could explain it this way. You've got little engines in each muscle, little neurons that help you lift the weight, using layman's terms here. Women are a little less efficient at using all those little neurons. Okay. So if you're pressing a weight or lifting a weight, a lot of those little neurons don't get activated to lift the weight. So they remain unfatigued. So you're able to press a weight more times than the same guy could for that same level of weight. In other words, you can take a weight that's really close to your 1 rep max, the thing that you could do once. And you could probably, Rebecca, you could probably do that thing 5, 7, 8, 10 times. Okay. Whereas if I took that same weight that was this close to my genetic or my top 1 rep max, I will not be able to do it as many times as you could.
Oh, interesting.
So the mistake I see, and men make this mistake, people train too light. Women train too light, generally speaking. I'm not picking on anybody.
Right.
But if somebody wants to get a little help on this, women, in my opinion, do better with heavier weights that are closer to their 1 rep max. For sets of 5, sets of 3, for doubles, for singles, women do really well with that.
I have to tell you, Danny, I was going to say, I love that because I actually love lifting weights. I don't know what turned me onto it, but I got into it and I love lifting weights. And I actually, I love lifting heavy. I don't have a problem lifting heavy. And I have to tell you, if I'm really deep into my training sessions, if I'm really focused in my training period, I'm on off season right now, but during my on season, with my strength training, I noticed that when I lift heavy, those workouts for me, they're shorter, they're easier to do. I just get in, do it, get it done. And then for my body and my experience that I've done is that I lean out so much. Like, I'm just like, for me, it's like that ticket that you need to see the inches fall off your body. That's what I've experienced anyway.
Let me go back to a point you made that actually is really important.
Yes.
You said you felt better when you lift heavy.
Yeah, because I'm not focused on, like you were saying, all the cardio and the hit and all this stuff, and you're feeling fatigued. I actually felt good. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a big piece of this puzzle. I think, and I don't know how it is in Europe, but in America, I think there is still this idea that if you don't pummel yourself to death every workout, that you're not getting anything accomplished. And that is just complete bullshit. That was
an old, that was an old mindset of mine as well, Danny. Yeah, I was locked into that because coming from I was a personal trainer and I was like, oh, I've got to, do this and do that. And I don't know where I got that from, but that was just to me, that was just the norm. And so it wasn't a real workout unless I'm sweating for 2 hours, unless I wake up where I can't walk and all this other crap. Yeah. And I've learned better since then, thank goodness, that it's not about, kicking your butt every time. It's about treating your body nicely. It's about paying attention to it, that, it's quality over quantity. It's the form, it's, consistency. Those are way more important than going in there, like you said, just, doing all this crazy intense stuff. I mean, it's just unnecessary.
I agree. I can't think of any time where it'd be beneficial to do that. I think people that overdo cardio and they see it as important to be sore all the time, it's extremely detrimental. I try hard. In the program that I teach, you're just not going to get very sore. You'll get sore the first couple of times, but that's not what the program is designed to do.
Right.
Getting sore is a terrible marker of progress. It means nothing. As a matter, it's detrimental to progress. You don't want to be sore like that. So in other words, you're going to be sore and you live with it, but the goal is not to get sore.
Yes.
The goal is to get strong.
I like it.
And if you get strong, and it only takes 6 or 8 months to get really strong.
That's
and
awesome.
Then at that point, if you want to do a cardio-based program, or you want to do HIIT, or you want to go do, I don't know, one of these TV shows where people are swinging ropes through obstacle courses and climbing up waterfalls, go do it. And you're going to be doing it better since you have a strength base.
Yes.
And luckily, some more people are recognizing that strength is the most important attribute in fitness.
Love it. I love feeling strong as a female. You know, I'm very feminine. I love being a girl, but I also love feeling that I'm strong. You know, again, I don't know where that comes from either, but it just, you know, like you were saying, it just kind of makes me show up differently. I have my posture changes, my confidence. I feel better about myself. And even during my One Warrior Challenge, I didn't do a lot of cardio. I just ran a mile, maybe 2 every morning. And then I focused on my strength training in the evening. That's all I did. It wasn't like I was killing myself in the gym. So it was like, oh, okay. Like you were saying earlier, it was just a simple, kind of almost boring process. And I just got in, I did it, and I went about my day. So it's not a big deal, you know?
Yeah. Well, Rebecca, I'll give you a goal to shoot for. I want you to get this by, say, how about May 15th?
Okay.
I want you to get your deadlift up to 275.
275. I'm all right. I'm done. I'm down.
Okay.
I'll do it.
Call me with the number.
Deadlift. Okay. I love a challenge. This is awesome. And hey, can I invite the ladies out there to join me on this challenge? I think it would be amazing. Maybe the number looks different for you as your ultimate goal, but hey, reach out to Danny and see what your goal should be. And who knows, maybe we could do like some sort of Girls Guide to Greatness challenge here, deadlift challenge. I love it.
Yeah.
All right. So you said May 15th?
Yeah, May 15th, 275.
Nice. I got it down. Awesome. This is so exciting. Danny, I learned so much with you. I love talking about this, anything with health and wellness and mindset and habits, because I always try to, you know, show up better today than I was yesterday. I always love to be able to transform and to, you know, move forward in life and become a better version of myself. And that's why I love having this podcast as well, because then I get to share this journey with other people, let them know, hey, you don't have to be perfect. Just show up, do the best that you can, and continue to striving, you know, to becoming better and becoming more. And so thank you so much for joining me and sharing all your amazing knowledge and wisdom with my audience. I truly appreciate it.
Well, it was my pleasure, Rebecca. Always nice to see you and talk to you. And I'm glad you're enjoying Scotland.
It's beautiful. And this has been amazing. I love having you on the show. And oh, one more thing, let the listeners know where they can find you. Or do you have like any challenges happening, especially now that we're winding down for the year and people are all excited about the new year and losing weight and all kinds of other good stuff. Do you have anything going on, Danny?
No, I don't. I'm not a big fitness challenge guy. Maybe that's a shortcoming of mine that I need to look at. You can find me at, what's my website address? mytrainerdanny.com.
Okay.
But it's better to just find me on Facebook. My shortcut is @mytrainerdanny.
Also awesome.
@mytrainerdanny.
We'll have all of this information in the show notes for people.
Yeah, perfect. So the closest thing, Rebecca, that I probably have to a challenge is I've got a new group of women that are training with us at the martial arts studio. And we're going to start posting everybody's numbers with their deadlift, their press, their squat. That's probably fits my style and my lifter style a little bit better than the only thing that scares me a little bit about challenges is the fall off rate after the challenge is over. So I try to be careful with those.
Interesting. Maybe you could have like a post challenge where it's called the maintenance challenge, where you just maintain your results. Who knows?
Well, that would be a wise thinking. Yeah.
We need to get
But no,
together, Danny, definitely.
listen, if a challenge helps somebody and it helps them get to
Right.
where they want to go, I'm all for anything that works. So yeah,
That's awesome.
I'm not a naysayer. It's just not something I've been focused on.
Right. Well, and from what I can hear, you're doing amazing with all your one-on-ones and the groups that you have. So the people who are listening right now can reach out to you and they can just say, hey, you know what? Let's just create your own personal private one-on-one challenge. You never know. So,
Sure.
So I think it's just great that you're doing this. People need this more now than ever. They need to get educated, not just jumping into a workout routine, but actually get educated. And so they can take this information with them long-term and share it with their family, their friends. It becomes a part of them. It's awesome.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yep. And if anybody wants coaching via Zoom or FaceTime, I do that too. So they can be anywhere. And if they'd like some help with their nutrition, or they want to go buy a barbell off Craigslist, bring it home, and I'll teach them how to deadlift it and press it in a few sessions.
Nice.
Then it takes all your excuses away.
I love it. That is amazing.
Yeah.
Yes. People listen to Danny, reach out to him. He knows what he's talking about. He's going to hook you guys up. And again, thank you so much for being on this episode of Girls Guide to Greatness. I can't wait to see all the amazing things that you do for this coming year. And again, yeah, thank you so much, Danny. I appreciate it.
Rebecca, it's been my pleasure. You take care. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Bye, everybody.